Yat here la ade da so kizige kodoshe David L. Janin she hin shlon look at ne pas chin adot the tlan da shnal dot a ein che da shin a kondet aba ya tijin da shin hot hot en adnrei nit ne be ke ya khao kidan shin hot an daste e kodo the voice of the Navajo ya kodon chnal kidbi to e nahash no hot Christians nach in 1980s khashin kha ta don le 1990 aj kwadi kodo the mog Pentagon is not get has cancer e kha da kisaita the voice of the Navajo ya ita KOBF ya ade nal kinde ko diji de it nek achebni na e ya it net o you de dis adon da il sale e kain da dasidil kido ko be bel khashne khait ai di argentinal kidi khalo no ai khait ai ya nenege e kwaigishi le Dallas Texas hol ya ashgande ade nani nado kwenda tale ka sonda initiative nash howate ande na khaije ajahasinal kitna khaije ya daltio television bigit khani khise khat adi kwena be khob ke ya khani ke huit da kontro on hal a yidi ke huit in khise khat adne hot ya daltit an hin hizadigi nal kitata za bohna za zo hot bohdest anit e ade ibna so hot khalu wat an hin hitna ab zadigi e khot ay lo ta khasin za no hol jiz ne znado wasat na khay e hot ay ade atkha sinanis isla ko asi ba hian sandon hitna o yu khata kiso de kushina khay o yu ta sa khasin za no hol jiz ko yat e ani nchal ne bi do ngai kodon chnal kitibi kotan hizadi ti yo ba hezel ede hata e kodo on hilchina an khait e khal wat le hol just ni bina e bina she hotan hil question it ole hela. Well, one of the things that of course George Strait wasn't famous back in the early 80s. I interviewed him in Shiprock new pit building high school. He had a concert. I guess they had a show in Las Vegas. And they're coming through here to go to their next show in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So we intercept them here. I have a security company business, uniform security. At that time, I had that business. It's called Navajo Security. And we intercept him here and they talk to their manager. Say, yeah, we can stop on. They do a show in Shiprock and we'll move on down to Las Cruces. So, and that's what we did. And I interviewed him. Of course, we sold out the place and I have my own security. You don't have to use any other security company like Navajo Police or anything. So we went ahead and did that. And on his way to Vegas, so that was one of the highlights that I did. And also I interviewed all the governors of New Mexico and all the Navajo Nation presidents as they get elected, and a lot of political issues as far as the local community and even Farmington mayor and some of the other leaders here within Farmington area. I did, and also did a lot of fashion for haircuts and fashion show with different businesses in town like Dillard's and so on. They do a fashion show, and then some fashion show for the Navajo Nation where they dress up in Navajo traditional outfit and stuff like that. I even have some band on their local Navajo band that they play on the show, and just varieties of it, different kinds. So I think that's what made the show very popular. And it's just, I guess, amazing to some people that there's a Navajo speaking on TV back in those days. When you hear your own voice on TV with a show and people watching it, and that give them some kind of effort to keep watching it. And some even San Juan College, they have a Navajo class. I didn't realize they listen to my show every time they have their class, and they write up a subject, what I talk about, what the things, and they test them on it and so on. So I went to their class one day and just to give a speech, just tell them that This asked almost the same question you're asking. So a lot of Navajo people enjoyed it because it's all in Navajo. I guess it's kind of like how would I say, exciting to hear your own language on national television or TV.
Hi, my name is Justin Pyochi. Ashihin Ishle, Bitani Bashiching, Kinyani Dashiche, Tkodachini Dashanele. I'm the owner and cook of Pyochi Food Group here in Upper Fruitland, New Mexico. Also an AmeriCorps Vista member and a partner here at Navajo Ethno Agriculture. So I got started in culinary arts maybe when I was 17. I got my first real job at a restaurant called Francisca's. And then I moved out to Phoenix, went to culinary arts school, Arizona Culinary Institute. Got to work for a couple of really good chefs, Bo McMillan of Sanctuary on Camelback, Kevin Binkley of Binkley's Restaurant. And then also just had really good friends along the way. About a year and a half ago is when we actually started Pyochi Food Group out here in Farmington, New Mexico. So what makes Pyochi Food Group innovative is that there's not a lot of people doing what we're doing in the area. It's things like using fresh ingredients from the farm, take old recipes and present them in a little more modern approach. But also we have our own little style of cooking that doesn't consist of traditional Navajo foods. Our culture affects our food a lot actually because everything we do has a purpose. Even our name for our little supper club that we have called Loremi. And so by saying the name Loremi, you're actually being introduced into our culture because in Navajo we introduce our mother's side first and then we also introduce our father's side next. My grandmother's name on my mom's side is Lorraine and my dad's mom, her name was Amy. So put those two together, Loremi. Simple things like that is what we're really pushing for, and we're learning while stepping back and learning about our culture and our history. And we know that our people didn't do things half-heartedly. We did everything for a purpose, and that's what's really having an impact on what we're doing. The goals for Pyochi Food Group in the future are definitely to learn as much as we can here at Navajo Ethno Agriculture, which I've been learning a lot from seeding to water rights to how to work your land and such. So I would really like to absorb as much as I can. Hope we'll grow our own food someday, and that can be a part of Pyochi Food Group. Really what we would like to do is just show the Farmington area, even the people in the surrounding cities, that fresher is way better and how simple food can be. Pyochi Food Group, we really have a lot of big goals in the future. Later on down the road, maybe a restaurant, but right now we're focusing on learning as much as we can here at Navajo Ethno Agriculture and pass that knowledge on to students and the younger people in the area because they're the ones who are going to be stepping up later on. One thing that I really wanted to add that I think is really important is learning your tradition, learning your culture, learning the history of what has been going on in the area, protect what is ours. I encourage anybody out there, if you have a passion, if you have a curiosity for food or anything like that, reach out to us or Navajo Ethno Agriculture and we will point you in the right direction. We'll share what we know. So one little dessert that I really wanted to share with everybody is we did a competition for the Indigenous Food Challenge online, and we used amaranth. Amaranth is actually a plant that has been taken advantage of for many years actually, and was illegal for a long time for us Native Americans to grow. We did an amaranth ice cream. I mean, who would have thought that we can make milk out of amaranth seeds and such like that? So that's one little dessert that we had for sure that I was really proud of. Pyochi Food Group has changed a lot since our inception, grown in the area of creativity, of structure, and a lot of things that we didn't think about before we're actually really implementing now. And a lot of the things that make sense and that our customers really do that stand out to them are the things that are free actually. pulling out your chair, folding your napkins, stuff like that are some of the things that actually really stick inside of our customers' memory even more than the food sometimes. So we're always evolving, we're always changing, we're always trying to be as creative and stay on top of trends and such like that. So we've grown a lot definitely since we started. Pauchi Food Group consists of myself. I cook the food, help plan the menus. Also my sister Tia, who does a lot of the media and the promotion and such. And we actually took my mom on, Janice Brown, as the head honcho kind of. So she's gonna keep us in line, keep us organized, and keep us on schedule. So there's only the three of us right now, but hopefully later on in the future, we definitely want to expand as we grow. The dynamic of Pauchi Food Group really is we're like a tripod. There's three of us, and so one of us isn't there, we feel we're not as successful as we could be if all three of us were. But I'll provide the food and the menus and such, and my sister will take care of the front of the house. My mom will, of course, assist my sister in any way that she needs. Also help me in any way that I would need as possible. We do a lot of private dining, so how things usually end up going, I'll come, we'll set up, I'll start getting food hot. My sister and my mom will set up the plates. We will already have a plan of how we're gonna be running things, and that'll be all on paper right in front of us. We're a pretty well-oiled machine, I must say, when it comes to these dinners, and even for caterings and such.
My name is Kendall Augustine. I am a Dene, Native American. I am part of the Navajo Nation tribe. My family originates from Neizi, New Mexico. My grandfather had a homestead there. When I was young, very young as a child, I spent a lot of time with my grandfather. So as I grew older and I started visiting the homestead a lot more and the people that were in that community, I started to see that, life was actually really, really tough. There was a TV show that I saw. There was an interview of a family that was they were trying to bring out how Navajo Nation, how life is on the Navajo Nation. And they had this family in particular. The family, it was a mother, a father, and two young children. The two young children were in grade school. And this family didn't have any electricity in their home, and they lived on the Navajo reservation, a very rural area. The children would come home and do homework, but when the sun went down, they didn't have any lights. What they chose to do is put the children into the vehicle and use the dome light of the vehicle itself for them to do the homework. And to me, that was, pretty heartbreaking. So I decided to make a program, which is the Light of Hope program, and get generators out to these families, these solar maintained generators. Being a Native American business owner was a little tough starting out. The reason being was the resources weren't quite available. So whenever I decided to, go forth and do it, I had to do a lot of research. So San Juan College has been extremely helpful in the growth of our company, Analytical Technologies, by giving us support through the incubator program. They give us everything that we need. They give us space, telephone, a full working mail center so that we can conduct business on a daily basis. And they give it to us at one set price. If there's anybody out there that wants to start a business, I would definitely recommend the Enterprise Center and all the resources that they have. Don't be scared to do it. Jump in and do it.
So I am a full-blooded Navajo. I am a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and I believe that the skills and the discipline that I was taught in the military helps me stay focused and gives me that driving force, bringing this company to the next level. How I got involved with analytical technologies was first off meeting Kendall Augustine while working at another company. You know, we got along very good, and through the years of knowing each other, he approached me with this idea of starting up this company to help, you know, do electronic board repairs for the Navajo Nation and oil and gas companies. So we are able to benefit the community by providing service to the Navajo Nation, allowing us to source our parts and materials, use local fabricators to build a product that eventually goes out to our community, to the Navajo Nation, and to the city. So some of the advice I recommend for young Native American entrepreneurs is to reach out to, you know, other Native American owned businesses. Ask them what they have learned. Reach out to local agencies that'll help you, like the Small Business Administration or the San Juan College Enterprise Center. My goals for Analytical Technologies is to build this company up to be a prime source of technical services to our local community, to the Navajo Nation, and to other companies that are within our region.
Yat Delbert Anderson Yanishya, Bit Atni Nishlan Clash Bashichin, Kintha Cheatney Dashiche, Toda Cheatney Dashanale. My name is Delbert Anderson. I'm an artist and an educator. I was born in Shiprock, New Mexico. I currently live here in Farmington, New Mexico, working with the community, with the San Juan Jazz Society, San Juan College, and DADAT Management.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Lucero. I grew up, I was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I grew up next to the Southern Ute Reservation in Colorado. We had a 350-acre farm up there and raised cattle and did the full farm experience. I'm currently the co-founder of DADAT Management and the San Juan Jazz Society. I play drums for several different projects.
DADAT started in 2015 at one of the festivals we were playing at. And the very last tune, we invited up Christopher Mike Bidta, also known as Defy, to come up and do a random sort of collaboration. It was all improvisation, and it went so well that after the concert, everyone was asking us for CDs and merch, and they thought we were a legitimate band. But we had just met that day, and that was our very first collaboration. So at first we had the trio, the Delbert Anderson Trio, which started back in 2013. And again, 2015, we added Defy.
The Delbert Anderson Trio started because Mike McLuhan, who's our third member and also a member of DADAT, and myself and Delbert would always see each other around town. People would always say, hey, you should meet Delbert and you should meet Mike and get together. So we got together and made a classic jazz trio. We played Miles Davis and Thelonious Monk, and it became pretty obvious to us that our instrumentation is bizarre. It's drums, bass, and trumpet. And what we wanted to do is move away from anything normal and focus on creating our own sound and playing our own music.
So the trio's music is very unique because of our cultural background. And if you look at each member's cultural background, we're all very different. We're basically a multi-cultured band with supporting Hispanic cultures, Anglo cultures, and Native American cultures. When we started the trio, we thought it would be very interesting to focus on my culture specifically because one, we never really hear our ancient, ancient music of the Diné. So we went to the Aztec library and actually found a cassette tape that said Navajo spinning songs with dated back to 1920s. And that was sort of the very first research I started to listen to these melodies. And the melodies that would make sense to me or that really spoke to me and jumped out, those are the pieces that I would be inspired from.
Part of what makes our sound unique is our instrumentation. Typically in a jazz trio, or really almost any band trio, you have some sort of chordal structure. We find that we have a lot of space because we have 3 instruments that aren't chordal instruments. We have bass, we have trumpet, and we have drums. So we always joke that we're never too far wrong because there's only 2 notes going on at any given time. So part of that gives us the freedom to improvise, which is a big part of what we do. Northwest New Mexico is what we would call an emerging cultural scene. Like Delbert said, it's not reflected in having a very established concert series or a very established series of bands or musicians that are from the area, which has really given us the opportunity to sort of lead the pack and to really forge our own way as far as these projects go. Musically, we don't really sound like anybody else because we sound like ourselves, and when you put 3 versions of ourselves together, we have this very unique sound. Culturally and community-wise in the area, it's really given us a chance to sort of forge the way by starting projects like the San Juan Jazz Society and working with the Heart Space, and literally starting to create and build a community of musicians, and to focus not only what we do to play our music and to get our voices out there, but start to build a community of musicians and start building a community of artists in Northwest New Mexico that we can help support. When we first started as a band, we were lucky enough to have a mentor named Gitche Manitou Muskwa. In fact, we named our first album Manitou after Gitche. Gitche was an artist that lived in Canada half of his life and in Europe the other half of his life. And Gitche had such a big vision that he would literally paint mountains. He would go to these festivals overseas and paint the side of mountains. And one thing Gitche always talked to us about was having a huge vision, and seeing someone that literally painted the side of mountains gave us this sky's the limit vision. Gitche unfortunately passed away sort of in the infancy of us getting to know him, but the last message he ever sent us as a band was sky's the limit. So we really tried to take that sky's the limit approach and have huge vision and huge ideas far above and beyond just being a band. So in addition to having the DAT and the trio, we have a symphonic arrangement of our music that we perform with. We have a second album coming out that we've turned into a musical and written a full script for. We have several other projects that are all art focused. And we're on the precipice of starting a nonprofit organization that focuses primarily on Indigenous youth and culture and arts, and really building a platform not only for ourselves, but building a platform for what we feel are very underrepresented and underrepresented Indigenous communities. There's a whole world full of these amazing Indigenous artists and cultures that don't have a spotlight shown on them.
Some of the biggest things to pay attention to for those who want to make a career out of music is definitely the business side. I think as artists, we get really caught up on creativity and trying to be creative and composing and all of these things, but none of that is going to really work unless you have a really good business professional side to it to go along with it. We always hear of really great artists, and there's a ton of them, like in New York and Los Angeles on the streets playing, that could really do what they're doing in performing arts centers or doing them in stadiums. But the thing that they lack is marketing, advertising, meetings, some of the professional organizations that you must be affiliated with to do those things. And there's a lot of those organizations out there that hardly, at least all the musicians we have been running to, don't know that these organizations exist. So it's really a professional level of professional development is very important, and networking is huge. And once you discover how to do those things and really start to lean in to these professional development workshops or whatever it might be, you start to really realize that you can literally do anything you want and anything you put your mind to. but we have to get the basics down first before we go out there and try to create a career.
I think there's several things that you have to do if you're really going to pursue a career in the arts. I think one of the most important things you can do artistically is to find out, who you are and what your voice actually is. If you're a jazz drummer, go be a jazz drummer. If you're a metal guitarist, go be a metal guitarist. Find whatever your authentic voice is and really commit to it. In the upcoming months, we're really excited to announce that we'll be starting a nonprofit called the ICAF, or Indigenous Community Arts Foundation. This will allow us a chance to explore Indigenous communities and promote the arts from these Indigenous communities on a national and international scale.
Got it together, feeling better, had to get back up no matter the measure. Stormy weather, started from the res, yeah. So I'm going back, it made me who I am today. So I owe it back. Nearly got locked in the system, caught up with addictions. Gotta give them knowledge and wisdom. Living ain't all about winning, if it's all about fame, you forgot about the mission. I was out of frame and out of vision. Had to pray to my creator, had to listen. Learning better ways from my tradition. Today let's help our people shine bright and glisten. So I'm headed where I first said it. Work ethic shredded deserves credit. If you can make it out of this village, you can make it anywhere.
Scott Campbell with Mora Media Commons, a part of the Mora Empowerment Project.
Hi, I'm Ann Tice with El Raton Media Works. We are bringing workforce development and film and media to Raton, New Mexico and Colfax County.
Hi, I'm Tia Camacho with Film Four Corners. We've had 3 international film festivals here in San Juan County.
The Greater New Mexico Media Collectives Conference is coming up in San Juan County.
My name is Dwayne Joe, and I am from Shiprock, New Mexico, and I've been filming for about 8 years. One of the things that I've done was create a documentary on the world's largest hand-woven Navajo rug, and the skill sets that San Juan College provided me with. I took that same skills, used it in my documentary. I won a long-form non-Southwest Rocky Mountain Emmy Award. One of the shows that I worked on was Roswell, New Mexico, and I worked on that show as a dailies operator through IAIA. Film students, I think they should come to New Mexico because The experience here, the limited students in the classroom, and you get that one-on-one time with the professors, and you have a question, they're right there with you. It's a great platform to step into.